By the end of this video, you'll be able to build any AI agent you want on n8n. From simple research agents like this one, which can search the web in real time, to more complex multi-agent systems like this one, which can not only send emails, but can even book things into your calendar and even create content for you, you'll be able to build them all. Now the goal of this video is to cut through all the hype and all the marketing around AI agents to give you a fully transparent, zero bullshit guide to exactly where we are with AI agents today. So over the course of the next 50 minutes, I'm going to first teach you exactly what AI agents are, and then I'm going to tell you what sort of limitations they currently face. But don't worry, because I'm also going to tell you exactly what sort of AI agents you should be building and what sort of AI agents you should be avoiding. And then I'm going to teach you everything you need to know in order to build AI agents on n8n without knowing how to code. Now at some point during this video, I'm going to be giving away my secret hack to building automations, which honestly changed the game for me by allowing me to build automations in a fraction of the time it will take anyone else. Now as always, all the resources for this video, including the templates for the 3 AI agents that I'm going to be demoing, are going to be in the description down below. So I'd recommend you guys download them, import them into your own workflow, and then try and reverse engineer them to understand exactly what's going on under the hood. But with that being said, let's not waste any more time and get right into it. First, let's take a look at what AI agents actually are. Now, I love this definition of AI agents. AI agents are fully autonomous systems that are capable of interacting with their environment in order to achieve a desired objective. Now, don't stress out if you didn't understand what that means. I'm going to break it down in simple terms. So back when large language models actually became a thing and everyone started using ChatGPT, we had these large language models, or these models that were capable of giving you an answer once you gave them a question. For example, if I were to ask GPT-4o, what are AI agents? You can see that it will give me some sort of answer. So you have text as an input and you get text as an output. Then as we progressed, we started making models that we call reasoning models. And these reasoning models had one extra step in between the Q and A. So once you gave a reasoning model a question, the model wouldn't just give you an answer straight away. What it will actually do is it will think through that question and then give you an answer. And the reason why this was super valuable is because it allowed us to solve more complex problems. Think of mathematical problems or even coding problems. For example, I can ask GPT-03 Mini, which is meant to be a reasoning model, how many characters are in this sentence? And as you can see, when the model gives me an answer, it doesn't just give me the answer straight away, it also reasons for a couple of seconds or basically thinks through that question. Now that's all great on paper, but we're still missing something. As you can see, the model is still basically just going from text to text. So you're giving it some sort of input, it's thinking through that input and giving you an output. So realistically, outside this model, inside the real world, nothing changed. We didn't really achieve anything. We were just able to give a model a question and get an answer from it. So that's why AI agents come into play. As I said up here, AI agents are able to achieve desired objectives fully autonomously by interacting with their environment or by basically doing things in the real world. So if we want to conceptualize this, when AI agents are given some sort of question or objective, they not only think through that objective similar to reasoning models, but they're also able to do things in the real world on the way to giving you an answer or achieving the objective. So it's basically as simple as that. Think of an AI agent as a system or a model or an entity that you can give objectives to, and that agent will be able to go and achieve those objectives for you. Think of a virtual assistant. When you want to do something that's really time consuming and you don't have the time to do it, what you'd probably do is you would go and find some sort of VA or virtual assistant from a platform like Upwork, and then you will go and tell them to do something for you, or you'd give them an objective. And then they will go and do a whole bunch of things in order to achieve that objective. And then once they achieve that objective, they'll probably let you know with an email saying, hey, I've completed the task. Let me know if you need me to do anything else. So I'm sure by now you understand how powerful AI agents can really be. But realistically, AI agents are only going to be valuable when we can give them complex problems, and then they would be able to go and grab that complex problem and complete it with a high accuracy with full autonomy. So basically, you'd want to be able to give the AI agent a very complex task, and then you'd want the AI agent to be able to go and complete that task with a very high accuracy without needing to ask you any questions whatsoever. Now, in practice, in order for this to happen, what has to actually happen is that the model would do a whole bunch of things, not just one thing. So it's not like you would just tell the model to go and book someone into your calendar, because that's just one thing. You'd probably want to tell the model to go and run a whole marketing campaign, which requires the model to think and do a whole bunch of times through an iterative process. So this think and do is going to be some sort of loop that's going to happen multiple times. But the reality of the situation is that with the current models and capabilities that we have, building AI agents that have to do multiple things and have to complete complex problems is almost impossible, because you're not going to be able to get a high enough accuracy for you to feel comfortable enough to leave them to do the thing fully autonomously. So what this ends up looking like in practice is you'd have a system that's only able to do maybe 1 or 2 things per run. So in reality, the current AI agents are only capable of completing very simple tasks. And that's tasks like booking someone into your calendar, or sending an email, or maybe updating a table somewhere, or even maybe creating some sort of content. And that's exactly why a lot of people tend to hate on AI agents and say that it's all just a big hype cycle and then it's not actually going to get anywhere. But the reality is that yes, maybe today in February 2025, AI agents aren't that capable and they're not really that useful in real business use cases, but it's not to say that it's going to stay that way for a long time. As you know, AI is advancing very quickly, and literally every week or two we have a new frontier model that's pushing all the boundaries forward. And if you listen to the CEOs of big companies like Microsoft and Google and OpenAI, you will see that the majority of them predict that the models are going to continue advancing at an exponential rate. So sooner than later, we're going to have models that are capable of completing these extremely complex and multi-step tasks with a high enough accuracy that would feel comfortable implementing them into businesses to automate lots and lots of processes. And that's exactly why I personally spend a lot of time learning about AI agents, and I would urge for you guys to do the same. Because over the next couple of years, literally every business in every industry is going to be using AI agents in one way or another. And if you understand it better than everyone else and are able to implement it before everyone else, you're going to be in a very good position. Now, I want this to be a practical tutorial, so I'm not going to spend any more time going through the theory of AI agents. But if you were interested in learning more about the concept or the theory behind AI agents, I recently made a video that I'll put in the description down below, so feel free to watch that. Now in this next section, I'm going to walk you through building a very simple AI agent on n8n. Now n8n is probably one of the best platforms for AI agents because it makes building them so easy that literally anyone can do it. You don't need to be a tech expert, you don't need to be a developer, you don't even really need to understand AI that much. All you need to do is understand the different components of an AI agent and then drag and drop those components together to build the AI agent from scratch. So let's go ahead and do that. If we click this plus button, the main component of an AI agent, well, you guessed it, is called AI agent. So if you click on that, it will create the frame of the AI agent itself, which is this rectangle here. Now, if we click back into it, you can see that the first option says agent, and it's basically a drop-down menu where you can choose from a list of different agents, like tools agent, conversational agent, OpenAI functions agent, plan and execute agent, React agent, and SQL agent. Now, each of these agents are specialized to do a certain thing and follow completely different frameworks, and setting them up is also somewhat different. But as a beginner, almost 99.9% of the time, you'll be using the tools agent. So I wouldn't really worry about trying to learn the other ones, but just for completeness, I'll give you a very brief overview of what each of them do. So the tools agent, as I said, is the one that you'd almost always use, and tools agents are really good because they're really good at doing things, or in technical terms, calling on different tools. Now, moving on, the conversational agent is meant to be an agent that's specialized in being used as a chatbot. So it's meant to remember a longer conversation. It's meant to also engage in conversation better. But in practice, when you try and use a conversational agent, it doesn't work that well. And a lot of people tend to say that conversational agents give very short outputs of, let's say, 10 to 20 words. And so in practice, they're really not that good at being conversational. Now, moving on, the next agent is the OpenAI functions agent. Now, the OpenAI functions agent, as the name suggests, is basically just an agent that allows you to use OpenAI's function calling capabilities, which is basically meant to help your model be more accurate when it's doing things or calling on different APIs. Now, the next one is a plan and execute agent. So as the name suggests here as well, a plan and execute agent basically just plans in advance and then executes after. So to conceptualize this, when a plan and execute agent is given a task, it will create this very comprehensive plan up front with a bunch of steps saying, okay, in order to achieve this task, first I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and so on and so forth. And then once it's built that plan, it will go and one by one complete each of these steps. But in practice, this also doesn't work very well because a lot of times the AI agent will make this really big plan and then go and execute it and realize that by executing that plan, it didn't really achieve the objective. So then it would have to go and make another plan and then do it again and make another plan and do it again. And so in practice, it sometimes ends up being very expensive. And then we have a React agent. Now a React agent, as the name suggests, is cut up to two separate pieces, Re and Act. Re stands for reason and Act stands for action. So basically with a React agent, when a React agent is given some sort of task, what it will do is it will think, then it will do, and then it will observe, and then it will do the same thing again. So in simple terms, it will think and say, okay, well, the best next step is probably this. So it does that next step, and then it will observe to see whether that next step was good or whether it was bad. And then depending on the progress that it made with the next step, it will think what the next step after that should be, and then it will do that next step, and then it will reflect on that next step, and then it'll do the same thing, and then it'll do the same thing, and it'll do the same thing until eventually it reaches that goal, which is the complete opposite of how the plan and execute agent works in practice. Now, the downside to a React agent is that since it's doing this sort of let's only think about the next step process, what might happen in practice is that when it wants to go from the task to achieving the task or from the start to the finish, instead of just going in a straight line, it will probably end up going like this. And then maybe eventually it will get there. But there's also a chance that it will get stuck in this infinite loop of just going around in circles, but never actually being able to achieve the actual objective. And so in practice, right now, you probably wouldn't use a React agent either. Then the last agent is basically just an SQL agent. And as the name suggests, this is just an agent that allows you to work with SQL databases. But as I said, you probably wouldn't use any of those other agents. So let's focus on the agent that actually matters, or the tools agent. So obviously every AI agent needs some sort of brain or some sort of large language model to help it think and be able to write and answer questions. And when it comes to setting up an AI agent on n8n, in order to do this, you can just click on this plus button underneath chat model and choose the large language model that you want to add. So let's just go with an OpenAI chat model. And then once you connect yourself to OpenAI by giving it your API key from the OpenAI playground, you can see that it will prompt you to choose the large language model that you want to use. So for the sake of what we're going to be building right now, considering it's going to be an extremely simple AI agent, I'm just going to keep it as GPT-4o mini, but depending on your use case, you might change this to make it more sophisticated by choosing one of the reasoning models like o1 mini or o1 preview. And then moving on, there's an options button here that basically allows you to customize how you want the large language model to act by giving it some sort of frequency penalty, or telling it to follow some sort of response format, or telling it how many tokens it can use at max. But in reality, you'd probably never use this, so I wouldn't even worry about it. Now, as you can see, what we have connected to this AI agent is a trigger node called when chat message received. And basically what this allows you to do is it allows you to talk to the AI agent like a chatbot, the same way how you would talk to ChatGPT on their platform. Now, if we click into this trigger node, you can see that there is a couple of options like making the chat publicly available, which basically just means making your AI agent chatbot publicly available so other people can use it as well. We're not going to be doing that for the sake of this video. And then there's some other options that are pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so let's quickly try and test this AI agent out just to test if the brain is actually working. So let's click on chat. And as you can see, this sort of chat interface comes up and I can type in something like, "Hi, how are you?" And as you can see, that triggers the workflow. The workflow triggers the AI agent. The AI agent triggers the brain, or basically it sends that message over to the brain, and the brain gives a response back to the user, which you can see here. It says, "Hello, I'm just a computer program, so I don't have feelings, but I'm here and ready to help you. How can I assist you today?" Okay, so let's continue conversing with the agent. I'm going to say, "My name is Kia. What's your name?" I'm going to say, "Hello, Kia. I'm an AI assistant and I don't have a name like a person, but you can call me assistant, yada, yada, yada." So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask, what was my name? And as you can see, it says, "I'm sorry, but I don't have access to personal information or previous conversations. If you'd like to share your name or ask anything else, feel free to." So although I literally told the AI agent my name in the previous message, it already forgot. Now, to overcome this problem, what we can do is we can give the AI agent some memory, similar to how humans remember things. Now, to do this, you can see that the AI agent has this thing coming out of it called memory. What you want to do is just click the plus button, and then you can choose how your AI agent is going to remember things. I honestly almost never use the other one, so I probably wouldn't even recommend looking into them. But what you'd probably want to use is the window buffer memory, which is also the easiest as it suggests here. So just click on that. And then as you can see, this node comes up, which has a couple of parameters. The first parameter refers to session ID. Now, session ID is basically just a way for the AI agent to ask which conversation should it remember. So for example, if you have a conversation today and then you have another conversation in 2 months, you wouldn't want all of that to sit on the memory if it's not necessarily valuable, because it's going to make running your AI agent very expensive. So by choosing a session ID, you can basically tell the AI agent what you want it to actually remember. So over here, we've chosen connected chat trigger node. And basically what this just means is that the AI agent will remember the conversation inside the connected chat trigger node, or basically this session ID here. So if I go back into it, you can see that that session ID is reflected here. But if you wanted to define a custom session ID and you didn't want to use the AI agent just as a chatbot like this inside n8n, you can click back here and then choose define below and then define a custom key, which is basically, let's say, just a folder where the memory of that chatbot is going to get stored. So that next time it's using that key, it will remember all the previous conversations inside that key. Then the next parameter is called context window length, and it basically just defines how many past interactions the model can remember. So do you want the model to remember the past 1,000 interactions, or do you want it to only remember the past, let's say, 2 interactions? Now, for the sake of this demo, I'm going to keep this at 5, but I usually choose about 5 to 10 just to keep the AI agent cheap. But if you're building an AI agent that's a little bit more complex, you probably want to have this number a little bit higher as well. So let's just change this back to connected chat trigger node. And then let's test it again. I'm just going to say my name is Kia. So as you can see on the right side of this chatbot, we have something called latest logs, and the latest logs basically just shows you what's happening internally inside the AI agent. So as you can see, the AI agent first called on the memory. So we sent it a message. The AI agent grabbed that message and stored it inside its memory so that it could remember that message. And then it grabbed that message and gave it to the OpenAI chat model, or basically just gave it to the brain. The brain got that message as an input and gave an output saying, "Nice to meet you, Kia. How can I assist you today?" And then the model grabbed that output and put it back into the memory so that it remembers both the input and output in that conversation. So it's going to remember that I said, "My name is Kia," and that it said, "Nice to meet you, Kia. How can I assist you today?" So now let's just test to make sure that the memory is working. I'm going to say, "What is my name?" And it should remember that my name is Kia. "Your name is Kia. How can I help you today?" Boom. As simple as that, we have an AI agent that can remember, think, and talk. So till now, what we've done is we've built a chatbot similar to ChatGPT or Claude. Basically just you can put your text in as an input, it will give you an output, and it will also remember that conversation as long as it sits within that same session ID. So when it comes to memory, just like humans, AI agents also have 2 types of memory. The first one is short-term memory, and the next one is long-term memory. Now, short-term memory will allow the AI agent to remember exactly what happened inside that specific task or that time it's being run. So coming back to the plan and execute agent, the short-term memory will basically just allow the agent to remember step 1 once it's at step 2. And then it will allow it to remember step 2 once it's at step 3. So that the agent can use all the information it's gathered from all of the steps in order to be able to eventually achieve that objective. Now, the long-term memory basically just allows the AI agent to improve over time. So ideally, you wouldn't want your AI agent to make the same mistake twice. And the long-term memory is what basically allows the AI agent to do exactly that. So that every time you run the AI agent, if you were to give the AI agent feedback on what it did wrong, the next time you run the AI agent, it will remember that feedback and it wouldn't make that mistake again. And over time, what this means is that the AI agent will improve itself and become more and more accurate. But long-term memory is a bit complex, so we're not going to get into that for the sake of today's beginner-friendly tutorial. So to be honest, the AI agent that we've built till now isn't really an AI agent because it's not really doing anything. It's not really interacting with its environment. Till now, we've basically just built a chatbot similar to what you see when you work with ChatGPT or let's say Claude. So now to make this into an actual AI agent, let's give it some tools that it can use in order to interact with its environment. So when it comes to interacting with their environment, AI agents can use a couple of different types of tools. The first one is an API. So for those of you who don't know what an API is, API or application programming interface is just a way for you to use an external software. So for example, if I wanted to use ChatGPT from their platform, I'll just open up ChatGPT and I'll do whatever I want. Like I'll say, "Hi, my name is Kia." But in order for me to use this application, what I would basically have to do is physically open up their platform on my browser and then use their platform by clicking on different buttons and typing in different things and going to different pages. Now, if I wanted to do this same thing without having to physically open up the browser, what I would do is I would use an API. And that's exactly what we've done here inside this OpenAI chat model, to be able to use OpenAI or ChatGPT without having to actually open up the platform and type it in ourselves. So that's basically what an API is in simple terms. Just a way for you to use an external software without you having to physically open up their browser and click on different buttons. So let's try and implement this inside the AI agent that we have here in n8n. So if you want to add a tool, you can just click on this plus button and then you can choose the tool that you want to add. So let's try a really easy demo. Let's use an API that is natively integrated into n8n. Let's say, for example, a Gmail tool. So if we connect our AI agent to a Gmail tool, that will basically allow the AI agent to use this Gmail tool in order to achieve the objective that we gave to it. Now let's set up this Gmail tool so that the AI agent can use it to send out emails. To do that, first you'd obviously want to connect yourself to that external app. So by giving the correct credentials, you can connect yourself to the Gmail API. To do this, you want to just click on create new credential, and then you can use an OAuth 2 authorization, which is actually very easy. You can click on sign in with Google and just sign in. So pretty simple stuff. And then once you've connected yourself, you want to set up the rest of the node. So with any tool that you give your AI agent access to, you want to give that tool some sort of description so the AI agent knows what it's meant to do with that tool. So for example, in this scenario, you'd say something like, this tool allows you to send emails via Gmail. And just by giving the AI agent that description, it then knows what that Gmail tool is capable of. So it knows when it's meant to use it. But to make building AI agents even easier for us, n8n has already set this up for certain APIs. Like for example, for Gmail, you can just choose set automatically. And by doing that, you don't even have to define what that tool does. n8n will already take care of it in the backend. So now moving on, you want to set up the rest of the tool. Basically, this tool is going to be used to send out emails. So we're just going to keep the resources message, meaning that it's going to be an email, and the operation is send, so that we can send an email. But as you can see, there's a lot of different things you can do. Like you can reply, you can get a lot of emails, you can delete an email, yada, yada, yada. And then you want to define the properties of that email itself, like for example, who it's going to, what the subject line for that email is going to be, what is the email type going to be, is it going to be in text format or is it going to be in HTML format, and you can also define the message or the body of that email. Now, normally what you do in this instance when you want to connect Gmail to your n8n workflow is that you want to define exactly what you want to send out within each email and to who you want to send it out, so that every time you run that automation, that step will happen exactly how you wanted it to happen. But in this scenario, as I said, since AI agents are autonomous and they're meant to achieve dynamic objectives, you don't want to hard code exactly what email is going to be sent and who it's going to be sent to. You want the AI agent itself to decide who it should send the email to, what the subject line should be, and what the body of the email should be, depending on the objective we give to it from the chat interface. So to achieve this, what you want to do is you want to copy this JavaScript variable and then paste it here. And then click on expression so that it knows that this isn't just text and it's actually a bit of code that it's meant to execute. And basically what this variable is doing is that it's saying that you should fill out this section from the AI or from the AI agent, or basically allow the AI agent to tell you what they want to put inside this section. And then to tell the AI agent what it's meant to put in each section, you want to give that section a placeholder name. So for example, in this scenario, it's going to be 2. So we're going to say recipient _ email, so that it knows that it's meant to put the recipient's email in this section. And then you'd repeat the same thing for the other sections you want the AI agent to fill out, like the subject line, which you can say email subject line. And then for the message itself, which is basically just the email _ body. And that's basically all you have to do to give your AI agent access to that tool so that it can use it when you give it an objective. So let's try that. So let's say send an email to kia@comexa.ai to ask how he's been. So once we run that, you can look at the logs to understand what basically happened internally within the AI agent. As you can see, the agent grabbed that prompt, put it inside the memory, then it gave it to the AI model or the brain, and the brain said, okay, well, what we probably have to do is we have to call on this Gmail tool to send out the email. So it called onto the Gmail tool and it gave it those dynamic variables that we defined before, like who the recipient's email is, kia@comexa.ai, what the email subject line is, checking in, and the email body, hi Kia, yada, yada, yada. So it basically filled out that tool with the information given to it from the objective. And then once the email was sent, the confirmation message was given back to the brain, and the brain responded to our initial prompt saying your email has been successfully sent to kia@chemexo.ai. And then finally, all of this was saved inside the memory so that it can remember it for future interactions. So if I open up my email, you can see that I have received an email with the subject line checking in from myself to myself that says, "Hi Kia, I hope this message finds you well. I just wanted to reach out and see how you've been." Now, as simple as that, we're able to build an AI agent that actually does something in the real world. So once you told it to go and send an email, it didn't just respond with a bunch of text saying, "Oh, I'm just an AI agent, I can't actually send emails." What it did is it went and actually sent that email and then responded to you saying, "I've sent the email." So it actually achieved something in the real world, or it interacted with its environment. Now, I'm sure you can agree that setting up the Gmail tool was extremely easy, but this was mainly because n8n has a native integration with Gmail and basically did a lot of the heavy lifting for us. But a lot of the apps that we'll end up using in practice with AI agents might not necessarily have a native integration with n8n. So in order to connect these sorts of apps to n8n, what you want to do is you want to click this plus button and you want to choose HTTP request tool. Now, the HTTP request node in n8n is very powerful because it allows you to connect with any app with an API. So as long as the app has an API, your n8n AI agent can use that app in order to achieve the objective that's given to it. Or basically, it's able to interact with that app. So to set this node up, the first thing that you have to define, as I said, is the description. Basically just telling the AI agent what the tool does so that it knows when it's meant to actually use it. And then there's a whole bunch of other parameters, which is basically just going to allow you to connect to the app itself. Now, honestly, connecting n8n to different APIs using the HTTP request node is a whole nother tutorial within itself. So I'm not going to try and squeeze it into this video, but if you guys were interested in learning more about that, put a comment in the description down below and I'll make a video on it soon. Nonetheless, I'll let you guys know of a little secret that will make you a master at any app without knowing anything about it. So the only thing that you have to do in order to literally do anything in any software is open up perplexity.ai and then search up whatever you want to achieve within that software. Let's say, for example, if I wanted to connect my n8n AI agent to HubSpot as a tool, and if HubSpot wasn't natively integrated into n8n, I could come into Perplexity and type in, I want to connect my n8n AI agent to the HubSpot API so that it can add contacts to my contact list. Tell me exactly how to set up my HTTP request tool. So if I just send this through, what Perplexity will basically do is it will research online, whether through HubSpot's API documentation or whether through Reddit posts or whether through videos, it will find out exactly how I'm meant to do it, and then it will tell me exactly how I'm meant to populate my HTTP request node. So as you can see, it says the method should be a post. So if I were to create a new HTTP request tool, I'll make the method into post, and then it says the URL should be this one here, so I can literally just copy this URL and then pop it in there. And then it says the content type is application JSON, and this is going to be a header. So I can send headers, have one with the name content type and the value application.json. And then I'll just read through the rest of this, like, I don't know, the credentials, how you're going to connect the credentials, what's going to go inside the body of the request, yada, yada, yada. And I'll basically just fill out the HTTP request node exactly how Perplexity told me to do it. Now, I cannot stress enough how powerful this actually is. Just by using Perplexity, I save so much time. Time that I would otherwise have to go and read through pages and pages of API documentation. I can literally just type in a prompt telling Perplexity exactly what I'm trying to achieve, and then I'll let Perplexity do all the heavy lifting and tell me exactly how I'm meant to do it. But coming back here, I have just connected this to an example HTTP request node, which is basically just the Perplexity node that I have from another agent that I built back in the day. Basically just have a description here, and then we have the rest of the actual HTTP request node filled out as well, so we can connect to the Perplexity tool. And probably the most important thing here in the HTTP request nodes is the placeholder definitions. So exactly the same as how in the Gmail tool we had these from AI placeholders, we define the same parameters inside the HTTP request node, but you just define it like this. So you'd say placeholder definitions. You would basically say what the name of the placeholder is, what the description of that placeholder is, and what type of placeholder it is. And then within that request that you actually send, whether it's inside the body or within the query or within the header, you would basically just put that placeholder so that the AI knows that when it wants to use that tool, it will keep everything the same. And the only thing that it will change depending on the objective is those placeholders that you told it to change. So in this instance, as I said, Perplexity is a research tool, which allows you to basically research online. The only parameter that you want the AI to change inside this node is obviously just going to be what we're trying to search for, which is the actual query. And that's exactly what we've defined. So everything else is going to say exactly the same every time the AI decides to use it. The only thing that will change is this query component that we've defined in the placeholder definition. So now that we've connected this AI agent to this tool, we can finally go inside the AI agent and set up the AI agent with instructions so it knows exactly who it is, how it should act, and when it should use each tool. So to do this inside an n8n AI agent, you have to give it a system message. Now this system message will basically be sent through to the brain every time the brain's used, along with the prompt that you gave it inside the objective. So basically the prompt inside the objective, whatever information that the AI agent has from all the steps that it completed, along with the system message will be sent to the brain so that the brain knows how it's meant to act in each instance. So for the system message, there's 4 main components of what you want to define. Number 1, the overview. The overview will basically just tell the AI agent what its role is and it will give it some context as to what it generally tries to achieve. So for example, in this instance, we'll say your role is you are a researcher. And then for the context, we'll say you're responsible for researching stuff. Now, this is probably not the best prompt till now, but you'd obviously want to add more details depending on the use case that you actually have. So then the next component is actually very important, which is the tools component. In this section, you just want to tell the AI agent what tools it has access to and basically when it's meant to use each of them. So let me just go back to the Perplexity tool. So with the Perplexity tool, obviously you can see that we have a name for the tool, which is Perplexity. Now it's best practice that when you want to give your AI agent access to a tool, you make that name descriptive so that AI agent kind of knows when it's meant to use that tool from that name. So in this instance, I would say Perplexity is probably not the best name for the tool. Let's call it research_tool. So now the name is basically descriptive of what that tool achieves. So if we come back up here, we can say that the first tool that the agent has access to is the research tool. And then you basically just want to say what the tool is and when it should use it. So we basically just said the research tool allows you to search things up online. You should use this tool when you need to do online research. Simple as that. And then if you guys have multiple tools, you'd have the second tool, you'd basically just name it a descriptive name, and you'll say what the tool is and when it should use it. And then you do the same thing for the next tool and the next tool and the next tool after that. So we only have the one tool, so I'm just going to remove that. Then what you want to do is you want to give the AI agent some rules or some guidelines that it should follow. So for example, for this one, I'll just say always do research before you give an answer. Never make things up. There we go. And then if you obviously have a more complex use case, you'll give it more rules and guidelines so that you can make sure that the AI agent will act the way that you would like for it to act. And then finally, what we have is example. And in example, you basically just want to give the AI agent an example of an input, action, and output. Or basically just an instance of an objective that the AI agent will be given and how it's meant to handle that objective. So in this case, let's just say the input would be, what is the temperature in Sydney today? And then the action would be, use the research tool to search for the temperature in Sydney today. And then the output would be, the temperature in Sydney, let's say for example, is 20 degrees today. So that's basically what you have to give to the AI agent in the system message. But sometimes there's just additional info that you want to give the AI agent as well, so you can have it inside its context. You might want to define this inside a section called additional info. In this case, just because we've given it the situation where it has to search up for the temperature in Sydney today, you probably want to also tell it what day today is. So you could make this into an expression and then define a variable that will basically just tell the AI agent exactly what day and time it is right now. So if I click out of that, you can see that in the prompt at the end, it says today is date time 25th of February, 6:03 p.m. There we go. Just as simple as that. You've now defined the system message for the AI agent as well. Now there is some other options here. For example, you can have require specific output format, which will basically put the output that the AI agent gives you in a specific format. You could also have max iterations, which basically just means how many times is the AI agent going to run. You can also have return intermediate steps, which basically just says in the output, instead of it just giving you an output, it will also show you all the intermediate steps or the logs, similar to how you saw it inside the chatbot. This is sometimes useful if you want to be able to debug the AI agent later on to kind of see what happened and what went wrong. Cool, so let's now test this AI agent to make sure that it works. Let me just remove this chat. So I'm going to search up who won the Real Madrid Manchester City Champions League game recently. So obviously the question that I'm asking here is a question that the AI wouldn't just know straight away, so it would have to research online. So ideally, once I click send, the AI agent will call on the research tool, search up online who actually won the game, and then come and tell me. So let's try it. So as you can see, the brain's running, went inside the memory, called on the tool. The tool returned the research. The AI agent replied to me saying, in the recent Champions League game on February 19, 2025, Real Madrid defeated Manchester City 3-1 at the Santiago Bernabeu. This victory allowed Real Madrid to advance with a 6-3 aggregate score, eliminating Manchester City from the competition. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, the research agent now successfully works. And as I said, in theory, you can literally connect any API you want to the AI agent via a HTTP request tool. And by doing so, you can basically get the AI agent to do almost anything. So as I said, API is the first type of tool that the AI agent can connect to. Now, the AI agent can also just run a bunch of code. And if you wanted to implement this in practice, you can just click on plus tool and then search up code, and it comes up with code tool. So basically with this tool, it's also the same thing. You want to give it a descriptive name. So whatever the tool does, whether it's doing some sort of calculations or whether it's manipulating data in a certain way, you want to give it that descriptive name, and then you want to give it a description as to what the code is meant to achieve. And then you can choose the language that you want the coder to be in. So whether you want to choose JavaScript or whether you want to choose Python. And then over here, you can actually just put the code in. And then once you put the code in, you would want to go back to your AI agent and basically just tell it what that code is meant to do inside the tools section. And just like that, you would have an AI agent that could run a bunch of custom code. Now, the third type of tool that the AI agent can use are external databases. Think of an external database as basically just a bunch of data that's being stored somewhere on the internet. And so by basically giving your AI agent access to that database or that information, your AI agent can search through that database and retrieve information that's going to help it achieve a certain objective. So for example, if we wanted to build an AI agent that had access to my company's policies, we would basically grab the document about all of my company's policies, put that somewhere inside the cloud or inside the internet, and then we'll have the AI agent communicate with that document in order to retrieve information when someone asks a question about policies. Now, just to explain the concept of retrieving information from external databases as well, we have to talk about a concept called RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation, which basically just defines the process of retrieving information from an external database in order to generate a response to some sort of objective or some sort of question. So basically, in simple terms, you would ask a question from the AI agent or the large language model that the large language model wouldn't have the answer to immediately. So we'll basically go and search about that question inside the external database, retrieve a bunch of information, and then use that information to generate its output or its response to your question. Now, let me also say that RAG agents are probably the highest ROI AI agents that you can implement into any business today. Because they're very simple to implement, they're also extremely accurate because they don't necessarily solve any complex multi-step problems, but most importantly, they will save you a ton of time. Imagine the amount of time it will take you to go through 500 pages of documents in order to find 2 lines of information. The AI agent can do that for you in literally, let's say, 5 seconds. So just imagine how much time you're saving if you have to do this sort of search and response process 10 times a day through 500 pages. It'll probably take you a whole day to do that, whereas with an AI agent set in place, it'll probably take it 2 or 3 minutes. So that being said, I recently built a RAG agent, a Retrieval Augmented Generation agent, that allows you to talk to your documents by simply uploading them to a Google Drive folder. So for example, in this instance, I've made a Google Drive folder called Comexa Policies on Google Drive, and then I've uploaded my company's policies as a Google Doc so that I can literally talk to that Google Doc from Telegram by talking to a bot. So just to show you how that would work in practice, I can literally record my voice and say, how many days of sick leave do I get per year? And then once I've sent this message, if I come here and test the workflow, it will trigger the automation because a new message has been sent. It will go and transcribe that voice, send it over to my retrieval augmented generation agent, which will go and talk to an external vector database or an external database that we've created, and then come back to the brain and give me an answer back in Telegram. And that answer says, according to Chemex's policies, employees are entitled to 10 days of sick leave per year. Now, as you can imagine, this is extremely powerful in practice, because literally think of it this way. I can upload 100 documents into that vector database and communicate with them by simply recording my voice on Telegram or sending a message on Telegram. Or on the other hand, I can literally grab that Telegram bot with my company policies and put it inside my employee group chat. So my employees don't necessarily have to ask me questions about sick leave anymore. They can literally just open up the group chat and ask the Telegram bot. Now, if you guys are interested in learning more about how to set up this RAG agent and other RAG agents similar to it, I would recommend watching the video I recently made that walks you through setting this up step by step and even gives away all the templates and resources required to set this up for yourself in no time. I'm going to put the link in the description down below. Now, more broadly, the next tool that the AI agent can use is basically just another workflow. Now, this workflow could basically just be an automation that you've set up yourself, or it could be another agent. So think of it this way. You've been working with n8n for some time and you have a whole bunch of different automations that you've set up over time. Now, what you can literally do is give those automations to your AI agent as a tool so that your AI agent can literally run any of those automations whenever it wants. So now your AI agent doesn't necessarily have to build 1,000 workflows from scratch. It will literally have these pre-made templates and it could just run them whenever it wants. So then when you want to set this up, all you have to do is again give it a descriptive name, which basically allows the AI agent to kind of understand already what that tool is meant to do. Give it a description as to exactly what the tool is and when the AI agent should use it. And then you want to go down, make sure your source is on database, and then choose the workflow you want from a list of workflows. So you can literally just go and choose any of these workflows you want. Now, a more advanced version of this would be using an army of sub-agents underneath your agent as tools. What we call this in practice is a multi-agent system. Think of it like this. You have this big manager agent up here, and then you have a bunch of smaller agents underneath. So this is one agent, that's another agent, that's another agent, and this one is another agent. So what basically happens is you would give the main agent the objective or the task. The main agent will grab that objective, and in order to achieve that objective, it will break it down into smaller subtasks, and then it will engage these AI agents to complete those subtasks. So for example, if you wanted to build a fully autonomous marketing agent, and you told it to run a marketing campaign, the agent might say, okay, in order to run a marketing campaign, first we have to do market research. So this market research would go to the market research agent, which is a specialized agent that only does market research. And then after we do some market research, we might want to make a marketing strategy. So that goes to the marketing strategy agent, which is a strategist just responsible for creating marketing strategies. And then after that, you might go to, I don't know, like an SEO agent or a cold outreach agent or whatever agent that needs to be engaged in order to achieve the objective. Now, this concept of multi-agent systems is extremely powerful in practice because number one, it allows your AI agent to become more accurate, because now instead of your AI agent by itself having to do 1,000 different things and be connected to 1,000 different tools, it can literally just call on a different agent, which is specialized for that subtask that can handle everything. So instead of having one agent that knows everything, you have one agent that knows how to delegate tasks, and then you have a whole bunch of smaller agents that can do specialized tasks very well. Now, the second reason why this is extremely powerful in practice is because by using multi-agent systems, you reduce the cost of your AI agent running by a significant amount. Because instead of one AI agent having to maintain all of the context from that entire run, that entire process inside its memory, you would have multiple smaller sub-agents that only get access to the context that they need in order to complete their part of the job. So basically, you're not wasting a whole bunch of money by making the AI remember things that it probably doesn't need to remember inside that specific step. Now, just to demo this, I've got a virtual assistant agent that is capable of doing many things. As you can see, it has capabilities with email. You might be able to send email, draft emails, label emails. It's capable of doing things on your calendar. So you might be able to book a new meeting or update a meeting. And it also is able to create content or create blog posts. It's able to research the internet, and it's even able to use the calculator. So as you can see, this component here itself is a multi-agent system. So you have a virtual assistant agent at the top that's responsible for grabbing the objective and then choosing who should complete that objective. And then you have a whole bunch of sub-agents that are specialized in doing one thing. Like this one specialized in emails, this one specialized in the calendar, and this one specialized in content creation. And then obviously to make sure that this is actually working correctly, for each of these agents, you want to go and build a new workflow that actually has that agent inside it. So let's go through each of these agents. The first one is an email agent. As you can see, here is the email agent. The most important thing here is that you want to have the trigger be this orange trigger here that basically just says when executed by another workflow. So what that basically means is this automation will only run when another workflow, or basically this AI agent, triggers it, or when it tells it to work. So that if this AI agent got an objective that it thinks the email agent should complete, it will trigger the email agent. So this will trigger the automation here, will come to the email agent, and the email agent will do its job, and then it will give the output back to the virtual assistant agent. Now, if it's a success, it will give the actual output. If it's an error, it's going to say there's been a problem, and it's going to say what the problem was. But as you can see, this email agent is capable of doing a couple of things. It's capable of sending emails, replying to emails, labeling emails, creating drafts, getting emails, getting labels, marking emails as unread, or basically just everything to do with your Gmail. And then the next agent is a calendar agent. If we take a look at the calendar agent, you can see that the agent also has the same trigger, which is essential for a sub-agent to have. And then the calendar agent is capable of updating events, deleting events, or creating events with attendees. So we've set up an AI agent, connected it to a bunch of different APIs, and then we've said that this AI agent should only be run when another AI agent calls onto it. And then for the final agent, we have a content creator agent, which is capable of researching Perplexity in order to write some sort of blog post. And as you guys can see, I'm actually using Claude 3.7 Sonnet, which is the newest model from Anthropic. If you guys want to learn how to connect your AI agents to Anthropic's new model, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, put it in the comments down below and I'll make a video on it. Well, coming back to the agent, let's just do a quick demo to make sure everything is working as intended. Let's just click on chat. Basically, in this chat, I can literally tell the agent to do anything with email, or do anything with the calendar, or even create any sort of blog post, or even research the internet, or even do something with a calculator. So let's start with the email agent. I want to say, send an email to kia@chemexo.ai asking how everything is going. So this is similar to what we did before with the agent that was capable of doing emails. But this time, instead of the agent itself completing that task or doing the email sending, it's basically delegating that to another agent, which is the email agent, and having the email agent do it. So if we look at the logs, you can see that first, obviously, everything went inside the memory. Then the brain got called. Then the brain said, we should probably give this to the email agent. Then the email agent was called. And once the email agent was called, the email agent outputted that it sent the email. And then this comes back to the brain. And the brain now knows that everything has been completed, so it sends a message to us saying, I've sent an email to kia@chemexo.ai asking how everything is going. So let's just go and double check to make sure this has actually happened. Now, as you guys can see, I have sent an email from myself to myself 0 minutes ago, which says, hello, I wanted to reach out and check in how everything's going. Looking forward to hearing from you. Best regards, Kia. We come to the email agent itself and click on executions. You can see that the agent recently ran. And when it was run, you can see that the query that came in said, send an email to kia@chemexo.ai asking how everything is going. And then what it did was it sent that query to the brain, and then the brain realized that it has to use the send email tool. So it used the send email tool, came back to the brain, and the brain sent out the success response back to the main agent. So now testing the second agent, let's say schedule a meeting with kia@chemexo.ai at 6 p.m. tomorrow. So let's run this. As you guys can see, the memory is being filled, goes to the brain. The brain decides that it must engage the calendar agent, and that's exactly what's happening now. So the calendar agent gets engaged, the response from the calendar agent comes back, goes back into the brain, and the brain gives us a response saying, I've scheduled the meeting with kia@chemexo.ai for tomorrow at 6 p.m. The meeting will last for an hour, ending at 7 p.m. Is there anything else you would like me to do regarding this meeting or any other assistance you need? So as you guys can see, there is a meeting booked for tomorrow at 6 to 7 p.m. and it's between me and me. Perfect. So now we know that the calendar agent works as well. So now I've just deleted the other 2 extra tools, and I'm going to tell the AI agent to do something that's a little bit complex and a little bit more multi-step. I'm going to say, create a blog post about Claude 3.7 Sonnet and send it to kia@chemexo.ai. Then create an event to discuss the blog post with him tomorrow at 10 p.m. Then send a confirmation email to him to confirm that he'll be attending tomorrow's meeting. So this objective is a little bit more complex and a little bit more multi-step. Let's see how the AI handles it. As you can see, first it populates the memory, then it's engaging the content creator agent, which is in line with what we want to create the blog post. Now the content creator agent ran, it came back to the brain engaged the email agent, the email agent sent off the email, came back to the brain's now going to engage the calendar agent to send out the invite. And then once the invite is sent out, it will come back to the brain to say we've sent it out. And then a confirmation email should be sent to kia@chemexo.ai to say that there's a meeting tomorrow at 10 p.m. Now that comes back to the brain to confirm everything's happened. And this should send an output back saying I've completed all the tasks you requested, created a detailed blog post about Claude 3.7 Sonnet, sent the blog post to kia@chemexo.ai via email, created a calendar event for tomorrow at 10 p.m. and sent a confirmation email to kia@chemexo.ai about tomorrow's meeting. Now let's go and double check to see all of this happened. So it's saying first it created a blog post and sent it to kia@chemexo.ai. As you can see, 1 minute ago, we got an email saying, "Hi Kia, I've created this blog post about Claude 3.7 Sonnet as requested. Let me know what you think." Now, unfortunately, it seems like it didn't actually put the blog post inside the email. It just said that it did create it, which kind of sucks. And then I got another email saying, "Hi Kia, I'm writing to confirm our meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 10 p.m. to discuss the Claude 3.7 Sonnet blog post I showed earlier. Please let me know if you'll be able to attend." So that's also another step that I requested from it, which is good. Let's just double check to make sure the event is also actually booked in. And as you can see on my calendar, there is an event booked for 10 p.m. tomorrow. So if we come back here to debug exactly what happened, you can see the window buffer memory obviously saves everything, sends it to the brain brain calls onto the content creator agent. So it queries to say, create a detailed blog post about Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And then the output that comes back from the content creator agent seems to actually have sent through the blog post. So it says Claude 3.7 Sonnet, a breakthrough in AI, yada, yada, yada. So the blog actually did get created, but it didn't get sent to us. So if we come back here, then the brain will then have received the content creator agent and decide that the next step is going to be to call the email agent. So it calls the email agent. But the problem is that when it calls onto the email agent, it tells it to send the blog post about Claude 3.7 Sonnet to kia@chemexo.ai, but it doesn't actually give it the blog post, which is why we had the issue of receiving an email saying this is the blog post, but there's actually no blog post there. Now, as you can see, that multi-agent system looked really cool on paper, but the second you actually demoed it and gave it a complex problem, it ran into some issues. And that's exactly why I'm telling you complex AI agent systems aren't production ready yet, but I'm confident that we definitely will get there. So as I said, when it comes to use cases for AI agents today, you either want to think of RAG agents or you want to think of very simple one-step or two-step AI agents that are capable of doing 1, 2, or 3 things max. But I wouldn't really go down the route of trying to build extremely complex agentic systems that are capable of doing 1,000 things. So I wish you all the best on your AI agent journey, and I hope that you found this video useful. If you did find this video useful, I would appreciate if you like and subscribe and let me know in the comments down below. But otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.